Welcome to the Kent Lapp Podcast.
I think the one thing that we can all agree on is what you touched on earlier, which is that one child taken advantage of, certainly in terms of trafficking and sex slavery, is it's absolutely unacceptable.
Totally.
It's totally unacceptable, and the society can have a big impact on that. You touched on the demand, which I totally agree with. I don't think we can make that the main strategy, the only strategy, but it certainly needs to be part of it. I mean, that would fix it, right? I mean, if the demand goes in, then of course, but there's sin involved, so that demand is not going to go away anytime soon. My understanding is watching for like abnormal behavior is a very good thing to be going about. There was I think a stewardess saw a girl on a plane and just something seemed a little off and reported it. And when they landed, there were the cops and got them, and she was saved, because she noticed that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if this is a thing, but I feel like truck stops are places where bad things go down sometimes. I'm always like paying extra careful attention at truck stops and stuff.
I'm a part of End Slavery Tennessee, a local nonprofit here that helps rescue women and children out of human trafficking and for them to get their lives back. Yes, truck stops are a big place.
Really? Mm-hmm. What else? What else are you watching for?
Well,
public transportation.
Cities with heavy tourism. So Nashville, especially, is one. Sometimes there's signs that you can see, especially in hospitality industry. My past job was at a hotel, and I actually trained the sales team and their own hospitality team on what to look for, because a lot of Johns, as we call them, a lot of Johns use hotels as rendezvous points. In fact, Interstate 24 between Atlanta and Nashville is the worst highway in the world when it comes to trafficking children. Just in the sheer number that go up and down that highway every year.
I-24 between Nashville and Atlanta is the worst stretch in the country for trafficking?
Mm-hmm. Atlanta is one of the gateway cities from other countries into the United States. And
Houston is too, I think.
And Houston is too. And it's not just big cities. It's just as common in rural areas too. And in the rural areas, it's more familial trafficking, and you don't want to know some of the details of that. But on the surface, sometimes parents will traffic their kids to pay for drugs.
Yeah.
Jeez, that's awful.
And I think another reason why I think and I don't want to beat a dead horse here, but I think one of the reasons why, well, sure, you might say it's been good that it's brought the attention and the shown a light on it. I'll go for that. But I think where it becomes unhelpful then is, well, it's the evil Satanists at the top of these various organizations that are sexually abusing and trafficking kids. Well, it's unfortunately more complex than that, and it's us. It's people like us. It's our parents and uncles and brothers and sons. In some sense that get involved in the fringes, and who knows? If some John picks up a prostitute at the Super 8, and she's an underage Lithuanian or whatever, it's like, well, that's sex trafficking, right? And it's not, Hillary Clinton. It's
exactly. It's way more decentralized than that.
Yeah, and it's like it takes our eye off of the ball in some sense,
true.
And it makes us. It also makes us feel. It kind of assuages our anxieties in some sense. Well, I'm doing something about this because I'm researching this and I care about it and I'm being vocal about it. And it's like, okay, and like, is your next door neighbor, is their daughter the kind of daughter that is going to end up going to work in a strip club and then a massage parlor and then get into a trafficking situation? It's like, get involved now. Like, get involved in their lives. Help. It's like, that's more impactful than going down the internet rabbit hole.
Yeah. And, if you live close to a major city that has some jiu-jitsu and you have girls, that's not a bad layer of protection. The boys are in jiu-jitsu in Green Hills area. It's a place called Artista. Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and a young guy and his girlfriend, Felix Garcia, and his girlfriend, Val, run it. Really cool people. I think we're going to be able to get them on the podcast. They're just
nice.
really they just look like great people, and I don't even know them that well yet. But one of the things that surprised me was on the Tuesday and Thursday classes, they're a little bigger than the Saturday class, and it's probably about 30% girls. And they are like, I would say per capita or per average, like they're more aggressive than the boys. Yeah, these girls are not messing around. Like Lincoln has yet to beat any girl in there.
Wow.
Yeah, and he's been at it for, I don't know, 2 months, a month and a half.
Jiu-jitsu is badass.
Yeah.
It's for real.
Yeah, it is for real. And what's great about it is you don't have to be big and strong to succeed. Felix is probably my height and weight, maybe even a little bit less. I don't know, heavy, but he's a black belt, which means he can beat anyone in. He can beat any. He's the only black belt there, so that's where I think it's great for a girl to get into it. I don't know that we're going to get our girls into it or not. I mean, we may, but what's great about jiu-jitsu is you don't have to be big and strong to beat someone. It's just about knowing the technique and the moves, and you actually use like kinesthetics and the body movement and their weight against themselves. And next thing you know, you've choked him out or broken a few bones, and you're getting away just fine.
Mm-hmm.
I just feel like that's not a bad level of protection with as weird as some of the stuff is getting, to have even something like that for your girls. But I understand that this is a boys thing too. I mean, it's awful. It's boys and girls that are getting sucked into this. It's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. Andrew, you're involved in this. Do you know what the numbers, like the trends? Because overall violent crime has been trending down for many years, and murders and all the, it's just, there's a lot of those types of violent crimes have been on a serious decline for, for 50 years or more. Do you know, is trafficking going the other way, or do we know?
Trafficking is going the other way, at least stateside it is. In the United States, we have, of the people who are trafficked, I think it's a $32 billion a year industry as it stands today.
Does that include like porn and all that?
Mm-hmm. It includes porn victims. 83% of the victims are U.S. citizens. They're not from Lithuania or Brazil or insert country name here. The average age is 15 when they enter that industry. For boys, it's 12. It actually goes
average
down.
Age.
The average
age is 12 for boys.
Yeah. And for 12 for boys, 15 for girls. Their average lifespan from the point of entering that industry is 7 years. So they may live 7 more years when they get in.
It's also important to be specific about like what the risk looks like there, because I think it's easy to think that, somebody in a white van is going to pull up on the sidewalk and take the girls.
Yeah.
And that happens like a single-digit percentage of all victims would be stranger taking them by surprise. Like, fortunately, that's just vanishingly small.
70% of it starts on the internet.
Yeah.
Most of the traffickers are monitoring social media stuff for runaways. And when the runaways, if they post something online of something like, I hate my parents, I'm running away, something like that, they will have made contact between that post and the next 24 hours.
Ooh, wow.
Wild. So in short, you got to know your enemy.
Yeah, that's my point with that, is like, don't worry so much about the, obviously you need to be smart, but it's like, it's probably not going to be an ice cream van rolling up, just pulling up and getting the kids.
Yes. Well, that's interesting how major crime is on the decrease. Now, there was a spike in certain cities like Chicago. Their murders were way up this year. It's insane. But thankfully, major crime is down. Like New York City is a great example.
Mm-hmm.
Like New York City is way better in 2020 than it was in 1982, or the 80s. But what's interesting about the trafficking thing is if 70% of it does start on the internet, that maybe is one of the reasons why it's going down when other major crimes maybe are not.
Why it's going up.
Why it's going up. Because now we have the internet and you have social media and you have all of these other things that it gives you kind of inroads to the vulnerable.
I think that sounds right to me.
Yeah.